Hi, I'm Geetanjali Shree. I'm going to read from my novel, Ret Samadhi. It's a small piece on the family and the daily bickerings that go on within the family. It's a fun piece. कहना चाहिए परिवार को जबकि कहते हैं महाभारत को कि जो दुनिया में वो उसमें और जो उसमें नहीं वो कहीं नहीं कवि के तसव्वुर में भी नहीं यानी भूला भटका आतंकवादी गर्मा भरमा वामपंथी नारीवाद और नारी हरवादी और जीती हारी सब परिवार में या महाभारत में जिसे जैसे रुचे पचे महाभारत में दुनिया दुनिया परिवार में और इसलिए परिवार में महाभारत जो रोज रोज के हंगाम हरेक एक महाभारत इसलिए परिवार के हर सदस्य को पता है कि जो मुझ में वो किसी में नहीं और जो मुझ में नहीं वो होने लायक नहीं और ये कि मेरे पास दिमाग है औरों के पास पैसा और ये कि मेरा फायदा उठाया सबने अब हम नहीं बाकी करें और ये कि हम दूर रह के भी रहम दिल तुम वहीं हो पर कितने बेरुखे और ये कि हमेशा हम ही देते हैं और आप हमेशा लेते हैं और वाह आपकी सूझ जिसमें आप तो मिलनसार हम वही तो मतलबी यार आप चुप तो विनयशील हम चुप तो काइयां आप करें सो शिष्टाचार वही हम करें तो लल्लो-चप.
Hello, my name is Daisy Rockwell, and I'm the translator of Tomb of Sand by Geetanjali Shree. I'm going to be reading out a section that Geetanjali chose. She was reading the Hindi. This is chapter 40, and it's a section that compares families to the Indian epic, the Mahabharata, which is a huge epic that contains thousands of characters and conflicts and intergenerational conflicts and conflicts between cousins and siblings. And so she's comparing the family to the Mahabharata because families are full of conflicts and contradictions. And this is also the section where the mother, who's the main character, Ma, has disappeared and she's just been found. So at the end, you see everybody coming together. It's setting the stage for all these conflicted people to come together in one place to find her. Anything we say about the Mahabharata could also be said about families. They contain all that exists in the world, and whatever they don't contain doesn't exist, not even in the imagination of a poet. That is, the gone astray terrorist, the hot-headed leftist, the female and the feminist, the everythingist and the opti-pessimist, all in the family, or in the Mahabharata, whichever you prefer. The world is in the Mahabharata, the world is in the family, and thus the Mahabharata is in the family. The daily flare-ups, each one a Mahabharata. For this reason, every member of the family knows that what exists in me exists in no one else, and what does not exist in me has no call to exist, and that I have the brain, others have the money, and that everyone has taken advantage of me, so from now on I won't do anything, let the rest of them do it. And that I'm the most tender-hearted despite living far away, while you are right here, yet so completely inconsiderate. And I am always the giver, and you are always the taker. And wow, your wheeling dealings are just because you're such a friendly soul, but if I do the same, I am cold and calculating. When you're quiet, you're polite, but when I am quiet, I'm wily. If you did it, it's good etiquette. If I do it, it's fawning, flattery. If you say it, it's candid. If I do, it's just rude. If I ask, it's obscene curiosity. When you do, it's sympathy. If I do it, it's for my own convenience. If you do it, you're most beneficent. If I do it, I'm being stingy. If you do it, you're being thrifty. If I'm quiet, I'm acting proud. If you're quiet, you feel bashful. I'm extremely secretive, but you're just reserved. And my fashions are faux, whereas yours are cutting edge. And if I lose something, what's the big deal? But if you do, you've been robbed, woe is me. And if I do something, it amounts to nothing, but your merest intention of doing something amounts to actually doing it. That is, I am what I've done, you are what you've thought. And what I said was scornful, but when you said it, it was just a joke. When I said my piece, I was being a show-off, but when you had your say, it was the unvarnished truth. And if I got it, I grabbed it, but if you got it, it was your right. And if I said it, I was deluded, but if you said it, you were just right. And when I get angry, I'm humorless, but when you do, it's self-respect. And when I went and did it, it was my duty, but when you did, it was big of you. And when I'm successful, I got help from you, but when you're unsuccessful, it was me who threw a spanner in the works. And if I get stuck, I'm a slacker, but if you get stuck, you blew your chances. And oh yes, if I don't get it, I'm a moron, but if you don't, you're innocent. And oh yes, if you're enemies with me, I deserve it, but if I am with you, I'm jealous. And oh yes, if I did it, I'm self-serving. If you did, you're self-effacing. And if I don't do it, it's carelessness, but if you don't, it's helplessness. And however much I've done is not enough, and whatever little you did is plenty. And if my nose is crooked, it's ugly, and if your eye is crooked, it's artistic. And oh yes, if I look good in a picture, the photographer was gifted, but if you look good, it's because you're beautiful. And oh yes, if I'm fair, I look like a skinned quail, and if you're pale, you look like a foreigner. If I'm dark, I'm Mr. Eggplant Head, whereas when you are, black is beautiful. If I'm fat, I'm Tubby Tubkins. If you're fat, you're pleasingly plump. If I'm thin, I'm dry as a stick. If you're skinny, you're svelte and shapely. And if I turn on the AC, I'm decadent. And if you do, you suffer from delicate health. When I drink, I'm drunk. And when you drink, doctor's orders. If you speak in English, I'm giving myself airs. If you do, you're educated. Oh, and if you need it, we're all one big family, but when I need it, you're separate and alone. If I'm polite, it's pretentious. If you are, it's pedigree. If I live by the fruits of my labor, I'm a crude drudge, but when you cling like a leech, it's a cultural custom. And yes, your work is the bee's knees, but mine's a hobby, if you please. Family and my own decency have destroyed me, otherwise I'd have been like you, director, professor, officer. All right, then, you're not me because you don't want to be me, but I'm not you since I could never be you. I am responsible, dutiful. My city has been highly cultured for centuries, whilst you choose to talk on and on about some recent gundas and give it a bad name. Ajay, once we've become a great civilization, we'll be forever free to go any which way. And how can you carry on about the disrespect, rape, and casting out of women, when this is the land where Gurgi once beat Yagyavalk and Mandan Mishra's wife beat Shankaracharya? Why do you see only cow dung and crap where Radha once danced and Ganga descended from Shiva's locks? Yes and no, no and yes, me and you and me, and you and I and Amma, we did so much. And you were with her, but you didn't see, and the poor thing grew older, and she lay there and alone, and didn't even know what she was doing, and she's even forgotten and inventing some imaginary names, and her memory's clearly affected, and everyone went running.